You are the sole reason a narcissist has not slept a wink in 3 nights, and you do not even realize it yet. Right now, somewhere out there, someone who completely drained you, used you up, and then discarded you like you were utterly disposable, is currently spiraling. This is not happening because they miss you, and it is not because they feel bad about what they did. It is happening because of something far more primal, something they have spent their entire life desperately running from. The exact moment you chose to walk away, you accidentally handed them their absolute worst nightmare on a silver platter. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on what actually takes place inside a narcissist's mind after they hurt someone who loved them completely and unconditionally. This is not just surface level information. This dives deep into the complex psychology that most people never get a chance to see. Hi, this is Dr. Elena Voss. If this channel has ever helped you make sense of something in your life that you simply could not explain, please hit that like button and subscribe right now. You are definitely going to want to stick around for this one. So let us set the scene first. You gave this person absolutely everything you had. You gave them your patience, your precious time, your unyielding loyalty, and your entire emotional bandwidth. You showed up for them on their absolute worst days. You fiercely defended them to friends and family who saw the red flags long before you ever did. You constantly made excuses for behavior that deep down inside you knew was not okay. And eventually, they hurt you in a way that you never saw coming. Or perhaps you actually saw it coming for months, but you just kept holding out hope that it would not happen. Then they moved on with incredible speed. Maybe they already had someone new lined up behind your back. Maybe they acted as though your entire relationship meant absolutely nothing to them, leaving you standing there completely blindsided and questioning your own reality. You found yourself asking if this person even feels anything at all. Here is what nobody ever tells you. And this is where the situation becomes genuinely fascinating from a psychological standpoint. Narcissists do feel something. It is just not at all what you would expect them to feel. Researchers who spend their lives studying narcissistic personality disorder consistently find that beneath all the bravado, the grandiosity, and the complete inability to take any real accountability, there is one deep terror that runs stronger than anything else. It is not the fear of losing love. It is not the weight of guilt. It is the absolute horror of becoming invisible. Narcissists are entirely fueled by what mental health professionals refer to as narcissistic supply. You can think of this as a form of emotional fuel. Admiration, attention, envy, fear, and even intense anger all count as valid forms of supply to them. When you were in their life, pouring every single thing you had into them, you were serving as their most consistent and reliable source. Your total devotion was literally keeping their fragile self-image afloat. When you stop giving them that energy, when you go completely quiet, when you begin to heal, and when you eventually start glowing again, they do not just lose a human being, they lose their primary mirror. And without that mirror constantly reflecting back just how exceptional they are, they begin to completely unravel. Here is where an unsettling psychological fact comes into play. Studies on narcissism reveal that individuals with high narcissistic traits actually possess a significantly lower baseline of self-esteem than the massive ego they project to the outside world. All that arrogance and supreme confidence is nothing more than a performance. It is a full-time, exhausting performance. And you, as the person who willingly gave them everything, were the crucial audience member who kept that show running smoothly. Without an audience sitting in the seats, the performer instantly begins to panic. This is the specific part of the dynamic that people rarely talk about enough. After causing deep pain to someone who genuinely loved them, a narcissist does not simply walk away clean and unaffected. One of two things inevitably happens, and sometimes both happen at the same time. The first outcome is a tactic known as hoovering. They attempt to pull you back into their web, not because they have genuinely changed, and not because they realize what they lost in any meaningful emotional capacity. They come back simply because the new supply they found is not measuring up to what you provided. It is because somewhere in the back of their mind, they know that no one else has ever loved them with the same depth that you did. They will test the waters slowly with a random text message out of nowhere, or a like on your social media photo after months of total silence, or perhaps a message saying they have been thinking about you. It feels like a massive breakthrough to you, but in reality, it is nothing more than a quick refueling stop for them. The second outcome that takes place is an intense, silent panic. They will never openly admit this to anyone, but behind closed doors, when their new relationships start showing obvious cracks, when the initial novelty completely wears off, and when nobody around them knows their personal history or tolerates their toxic patterns the way you did, they feel something deeply hollow. It is not exactly grief that they are experiencing. It is much closer to the terrifying realization that you have burned down the warmest house you ever lived in, and now you are standing outside in the freezing cold, wondering why on earth you did it. They will immediately project that uncomfortable feeling outward onto you. They will blame you for everything that went wrong. They will completely rewrite the history of the entire relationship so that you were the ultimate problem all along. This is not just basic defensiveness on their part. It is a vital psychological survival mechanism. If they actually allowed themselves to sit with the harsh reality of what they threw away, they would be forced to face terrifying truths about themselves that they have built an entire personality to avoid. Here is something that is truly worth sitting with and reflecting on. A true narcissist will almost never offer you a genuine, heartfelt apology. This is not because they are physically incapable of stringing those specific words together. In fact, they might actually say the words, "I am sorry," at some point, but usually only when they want something specific from you. A real apology requires a person to look clearly at the severe harm they caused and truly feel the heavy weight of that harm. That specific kind of deep self-reflection is essentially a threat to the entire structural foundation of who they are as a person with deep narcissistic traits. Psychologists refer to this as ego-syntonic behavior. To the narcissist, their harmful patterns and destructive behaviors feel completely natural and totally justified, rather than problems that need to be fixed. Your profound pain only registers to them as a minor logistical inconvenience, or even worse, as visible proof that you are simply too sensitive. But here is the major twist, and this is the specific realization that should grant you the keys to your freedom. The one single thing they can never take away from you is your personal growth. This is the exact thing that haunts them the most. When you finally stop waiting for that overdue apology, when you stop compulsively checking their social media pages, and when you build something beautiful and new with your life while carrying yourself differently, that is the exact scenario a narcissist cannot process. According to their internal framework, you were supposed to remain permanently broken. Your ongoing brokenness was the ultimate confirmation that they truly mattered. When you actively get better and thrive, their entire internal narrative completely collapses. They repeatedly told themselves that you could never survive without them in your life. So your ultimate healing serves as undeniable evidence that they were completely wrong. And narcissists, far more than almost any other personality type on the planet, simply cannot tolerate being wrong about their own importance. Some of them will suddenly resurface right around the exact time you have finally moved on, almost as if it were operating on precise clockwork. Professional therapists who work specifically in narcissistic abuse recovery have noticed this exact pattern so consistently that it has earned an informal name in the clinical world known as the return of the X at the exact moment of your peace. It is never genuine love that brings them back to your doorstep. It is their complete inability to accept that they no longer hold any measure of power or control over your life. True freedom never arrives in a loud or dramatic fashion. It quietly shows up on the day when hearing their name no longer hits you the same way it used to. It appears when you stop mentally rehearsing that imaginary conversation where they finally admit everything they did to you. And most tellingly, it happens when you completely stop needing them to understand what they put you through in the past. That final milestone is the real finish line of your journey. The exact day you genuinely no longer require their acknowledgement is the precise day they lose the very last thread of control they ever held over your personal peace. If any of this message already feels deeply true for you, then you are so much closer to the other side than you currently realize. None of this insight means you should ever feel sorry for them or pity them. Truly understanding why someone acts the way they do is never the same thing as excusing their toxic actions. You can maintain a quiet sense of compassion for a deeply wounded person while still firmly protecting yourself from them at the exact same time. Your ultimate goal is not to become bitter or cold toward the world. It is also not to obsess endlessly over what might be happening inside their head right now. Your true goal is to understand the psychology enough to completely stop internalizing the deep damage they caused as if it were something about you. It was never about you. Your inherent worth was never the variable in the equation. Their fundamental brokenness was the only cause all along. All right, before I let you go today, I genuinely want to hear from you down below. Did you ever notice that exact moment when a narcissist tried to come back right as you finally started to heal? Or perhaps you recognized that exact mirror dynamic the moment you heard it described just now. Please drop your thoughts and experiences in the comment section below. There is absolutely no judgment here, only a supportive community of people who truly understand what you have been through. Your personal story might be the exact words that someone else desperately needs to read today.